Welcome to the Unleash Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Anastasia Jones, creativity mentor, author, and limiting belief gladiator. My purpose is to help you transcend fear, take bold, aligned action, and co-create the life and business of your wildest dreams. The world needs your art now more than ever. And if you're ready to embody the creative force within you, then you're in the right place. Now is the time to make your mark. Now is the time to unleash your power. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so happy you're here because today is a special episode. This is the first time in the history of my podcast that I've ever done what I am about to do, which is I am going to read to you a small excerpt from a journal entry. And I'm going to read this to you because, first of all, I want you to know that I'm just keeping it real out here. The things we talk about, the things we share about are things I am actively learning, navigating through, understanding deeper, and have a desire to be vulnerable and to share those things with you. So I'm going to read this excerpt and then we are going to dive deeper into the topic. And I'm going to share with you how I navigate through the moments I'm sharing with you right now. This is what it says. Today was one of those days where I felt the rub, the friction between where I am and where I desire to be. My ego feels this urge to work, to be hyper productive, to take action. All the while, my soul is whispering to me, it's time to rest. Inspiration will come, and when it does, you will need your strength. So be glad and grateful that you are resting while you can right now. And that's the excerpt. That's what I want to share with you today. And I want to dive deeper into what I mean when I say the rub, because you'll hear me say this quite a lot. It is the space between what you want and where you desire to be, where you are and where you desire to be. And this space in between is such a unique opportunity. There's a unique opportunity for you to sit in it, to really just let yourself sit in that space, in the rub, and the narrative that you choose to write for yourself while you are in that space, that in between. This is what can radically shift your energy. So in moments where you feel the rub, just one or two thoughts can mean the difference between feeling like a failure for the rest of the day or feeling like the hero that you are for the rest of the day. Either you can choose to say to yourself, I'm not doing enough. There's always more I can do. No wonder I haven't made it as far as I want. No wonder I haven't accomplished what I desired to. Or you can say, I am so proud of myself and for how far that I've come. I have made choices in my life that have allowed me to experience life in this way. I've come so far, and I know that this moment, resting, is also progress. And then you end the day feeling great. Okay, so whenever you're in the rub, choosing how you are going to speak to yourself and the narrative that you write for yourself when you are in this space is ultimately going to inform your feelings, which will in turn inform your beliefs and your actions. So when you are in the rub, when you are feeling stuck, when you're experiencing that friction, take steps to rewrite the narrative that you are going to tell yourself as you move forward. That is what we're talking about today. That crucial moment, okay, where you're feeling the rub and you're like, take action, rest, move forward, stay still, right? The rub that's like, do more. You're doing more than enough. The rub that is like, why am I not where I want to be right now? Okay, I've come so far, giving myself credit for all that I've done. So whenever you experience this rub, I'm going to first share with you 2 principles to keep in mind as you are rewriting the narrative that you're going to tell yourself in order to move forward. I'm going to give you 2, nuggets of wisdom. And then I'm going to share with you 3 steps to rewriting your narrative. Now, you can use these 3 steps to rewriting your narrative over any circumstance, any season, any limiting belief. These 3 steps to rewriting your narrative you can lay over any area of your life, but especially when you were in the moment of experiencing the rub. Okay. So here are the 2 principles that I first want to share with you. We're going to set the stage here. It is okay to have a bias toward the narrative that feels the most empowering to receive. I'm going to read that one more time. It is okay to have a bias toward the narrative that feels the most empowering to receive. For a while, I didn't believe that. I was told that being too optimistic was actually a sign of being fake. But now I know that there is a duality to everything, and I've chosen to redefine the word optimism for myself. To me, optimism is not synonymous with being naive. Optimism is the discipline of looking directly into the fray, seeing the good, the bad, the ugly, and choosing to focus on the lessons and the gifts that this moment provides you. Having a bias toward an empowering narrative is a necessity. Don't let anyone else ever make you feel differently. Now, I want to share with you a Bible verse that says, whatever is true in Philippians 4, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice. So I want to use this verse to reinforce that it is okay to have a bias toward the narrative that feels the most empowering for you to receive. Listen, you can focus on anything. You are that powerful. But I promise you, whatever you focus on is what will expand. You are so powerful that when you focus on and give your attention to the good or the bad or the ugly, whatever you choose, that is what's going to grow. That is what's going to inform your reality and the actions you do take. So that's principle number 1. Number 2, you've heard this phrase before, misery loves company. Everyone is rewriting their own narratives, whether they realize it or not, whether it's conscious or unconscious. You, me, everyone, their mom, everyone is rewriting a narrative for themselves. Now, not everyone is going to agree with the narrative that you write for yourself. But the good news is that no one has to. This is a work that requires intentionality and practice over time. So don't be surprised when the empowering narratives that you write and the ones you choose to share aren't received well by everyone, especially by people you care about. You may notice that some people close to you will admire your narrative and they'll say, oh, I love how you're able to just take this terrible situation. I'm going to try to keep it clean, okay? Because I know some of you may have babies in the car. You might, navigate through these terrible situations and someone you love and care about might see your narrative as a beautiful expression of hope and faith. It might really encourage someone, right? And they might express that to you. You'll also find that some people will hear your narrative and will try to cut it down, will try to poke holes in it. They'll want to know the full story. And they'll want you to relive circumstances and events that don't feel good to relive. So don't. You are under no obligation to relive a scenario that's already happened, right? So rewrite the narrative for yourself and simply continue moving forward. Take what serves you, leave what doesn't, and continue moving forward. So those are the two kind of principles I want to start with to set the stage for rewriting your narrative and how to do that. Just to recap, number one, it's okay to have a bias toward the narrative that feels the most empowering for you to receive. Number two, you've heard the phrase misery loves company. Not everyone is going to agree with the narrative that you have rewritten, and it is not up to you to make them agree with it or not. Use your intuition, use your discernment. Share it with people that you feel, are close to you, trusted people in your community, right? And no matter who you share it with, just know that however they respond is more so a reflection of them and where they're at, right? So don't let it discourage you. Now, let's jump into 3 steps to rewrite your narrative. But first, have you heard about our monthly Unleash Your Power challenges? These challenges will support you in cultivating creative confidence, owning your voice, leaning into your intuition, mastering your mindset, and unleashing your power. Make 2023 your boldest year yet. Sign up for one challenge or bundle them all together for one low rate. Check the link in the show notes so you can get in on the very next creative challenge. Now, back to the episode. Okay, we are back with the 3 steps to take in order to rewrite your narratives. Step number 1, find the lesson or the lessons. Bottom line is, everything that happens to us can happen for us if we perceive ways to use our life experiences to help as fuel to help us move forward. So when you're rewriting a narrative, first find the lesson or the lessons in that experience. You can ask yourself, what did this experience reveal to me? Step number 2, lean on the truth. Lean on the truth of God. You must reinforce each lesson with a truth. Number 3, view yourself through the lens of unconditional love and acceptance, believing that the universe is always conspiring in your favor, and believe that every single thing is being redeemed and can be used for you and for the good of all. Remember that you are surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses, and you're not in it alone. And there's so much love, there's so much grace for you. And so the 3rd step is leaning into that lens of unconditional love and acceptance and believing that God is always conspiring in your favor, is always working in your favor. And before we go, I am going to practice rewriting a couple of narratives with you so that you can get a feel for what my process looks like. And I encourage you to make this process your own. I'm going to recap the 3 steps again. Step number 1, find the lesson or the lessons. Step number 2, reinforce each lesson with a truth. Step number 3, view yourself through the lens of unconditional love and acceptance, believing that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. So here's an example of an event that has taken place, or a scenario that may have taken place for you. You were fired from a job. You can either talk to yourself with the first narrative, which is saying, you suck. You're not good enough. Everyone will think you're a failure. No one's going to believe you, right? That's narrative number 1. Doesn't feel very good to receive. Just note that. Narrative number 2, God removes to replace, and better is always available for me, And releasing this experience, releasing this job, will make room for me to receive what's next in due time. My success is inevitable. The Bible verse you can use to reinforce this is, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future." That is Jeremiah 29:11. Scenario number 2 is you desire to start an online business. You can either tell yourself narrative number 1, which is, "I'm too late. I'll look so crazy. I already have friends who have done it, and now I'll just be embarrassed with my poor attempts at figuring it out. They already know what they're doing. I wish I would have started sooner. This is going to be so hard. I don't even know if this is worth it." That's narrative number 1. Does not feel good to receive. Okay. Narrative number 2. Time is on my side. It bends and shifts for me. My success is not linear, and true success I define by following my unique path and doing what brings me joy, freedom, and fulfillment. I give myself permission to rise, and I am available to ask for and receive help along the way. Here's a Bible verse. "The heart of a man plans his way, and the Lord directs his steps." The Bible also talks about the righteous prospering. It says, "When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices." Truth is, God makes everything beautiful in its time. So don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to take care of itself. These are 4, 5 biblical truths that align with the second narrative, which feels so much better to receive. So those are 2 examples for you. I want to know how this experience was for you. I want you to share with me a moment or a scenario that you desire to rewrite, and then share with me how you've rewritten it. You can either send me a message on Instagram. You can also send me an email. I'll link the way to do that in the show notes. And I'd love to learn more about you and ways that you are rewriting narratives for yourself and taking aligned action in the direction of your vision. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Hey friend, thanks for listening. I'm so happy you're here. If this episode helped you in any way, please take a screenshot, share it with a friend, post it to social media, and better yet, why don't you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening from? My desire is to activate as many creatives as possible. And if you are looking for additional support on your creative journey, you can always connect with me on Instagram at AnastasiaRJD, or visit the links in the show notes. We've got free resources to reignite your creativity and soul-centered ways that we can continue to work together. I'll see you again next week. Same time, same place.